I'm hitting a button.
We'll get there.
7:02, you're on.
All right. Special meeting of the Common Council City of Oneonta on January 26, 2023, called to order.
Mayor Dennis?
Here.
Councilmember Murphy? Councilmember Hayden?
Here.
Porter?
Here.
Councilmember Christian? Here. Councilmember Carson?
Here.
Councilmember Harrington?
Here.
Councilmember Bradford?
Join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we are here, the public hearing for 1418 E Street, restored New York application. And I'm looking around at our gallery and thinking we could move on. So with that, we'll close. And looking at the gallery, I see no petitions being offered, so we'll close that as well and move on to the agenda. Motion number 1. Motion that the Common Council approves the following resolution, whereas the city of Oneonta is applying for up to $1,725,000 in financial assistance through the Restore New York Communities Initiative Round 7 Municipal Grant Program for the 14-18 D Street Rehabilitation Project for the rehabilitation of property at 14-18 D Street, Oneonta, New York, 3820. And whereas the proposed project is consistent with the city of Oneonta's local revitalization plan, and whereas the proposed project cost is estimated at $2 million and financing is appropriate for the specific project, and whereas the project facilitates effective and efficient use of existing and future public resources so as to promote both economic development and preservation of community resources, and whereas the project develops and enhances infrastructure and or other facilities in a manner that will attract, create, and sustain employment opportunities for applicable, and whereas the program requires a 10% local match, and the entire match of up to $200,000 is being provided by the developer. Now therefore be it resolved that Mark Drenick, Mayor of the City of Oneonta, is hereby authorized and directed to file an application for funds from the Restore New York Communities Initiative Round 7 Municipal Grant Program for the 14-18 D Street Rehabilitation Project for the rehabilitation of the property at 14-18 D Street, Oneonta, New York, 13820. And upon approval of said request, to enter into and execute a project agreement with the state for such financial assistance to the city of Oneonta, and that the Common Council further authorizes the mayor to take any action or sign any additional documents necessary on behalf of the city, and to order any necessary budget amendments and transfers, and to take any actions and to provide any additional information that might be required to implement the proposed program upon approval from the state, subject to review by the city attorney. And with that, we end the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve? A, followed by Len. Discussion?
Yeah, just a question. So the entire match will be provided by the developer. So we have a contract with the developer for match, or we will have a contract with the developer for match.
The developer, as part of the application, is required to provide financial proof
Okay.
as part of the application. So
So we're not on the hook.
So there is risk to this if, just like any project, if this developer were to essentially not follow through with this project, any funds that the state had awarded us would be paid back. But that's any Restore New York project, Stevens Hardware Building, the Braziz Building.
So then my next question is, who's the developer?
The developer is an individual, I guess I can tell you. Our developer is Wayne Carrington, so he currently operates the B side, currently operates the Autumn.
And he was a property across from the Y.
Correct, which he's currently in the finishing phases of. This property has already been awarded $275,000 in DRI funding, so that is an addition to what's being requested, so it's already invested into the project.
Okay.
A bulk of these funds are to assist in some abatement of hazardous material to property. And then also as the application includes, it would include 3 main floor commercial spaces and 4 affordable housing units above it.
Okay. Well, he's got a history of doing good work. So. I trust Carrington's and the work that they will do. So that's
Further discussion?
Councilmember Davis?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitford?
yes.
Councilmember Christian? Aye. Councilmember Carson?
Yes.
Councilmember Harrington?
Yes. Very good. Moving to our second motion. Discussion, part of the agenda, that the common council approves the following resolution. Whereas the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has made available a grant program to which the Albert S. Naylor Regional Airport is eligible to apply, and whereas the city of Oneonta desires to apply for a grant, the project being described as on-airport obstruction removal design by committing funds for the local match funding shares being FAA 90%, New York State Department of Transportation 5%, and local 5%. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the city of Oneonta Common Council hereby endorses and approves the project being described as the on-airport obstruction removal design for the total project amount not to exceed $70,000 with a local share not to exceed $3,500. And it is further resolved that the city of Oneonta Common Council make available all necessary funds to match the FAA and New York State Department of Transportation grant share of funds for said project, and further resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to execute all necessary agreements on behalf of the city of Oneonta with the FAA in conjunction with the project, and is further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. Do I have a motion to approve? Lynn? Do I have a second? Dave? And discussion. Dave?
Can someone elaborate a little bit on what this project is? On airport obstruction removal design. It's really hard to figure out what was going on.
An application of several, like to explain on better than I, but certain approaches, the angle from coming down the runway and vice versa, there needs to be a clear space, so trees that grow into that space.
Is this something we're gonna have to do like every couple of years? Because it seems like we've been doing this every couple of years.
The last one, did, that was done,
Wow. That was the last one?
was off here.
It was on a 2-4 end and it was off. This is,
Okay. I guess it's.
yeah, I've been doing this 10 plus years and that was before I got on. So this is the first time for us doing actual.
Maybe I was thinking of something else then. So is this going to be as many trees as happened years ago? Because that funded our tree project or our tree planting. In the city afterwards.
I don't think that project is, the project that funded our tree planting is the long project.
Right.
This is.
Okay, so it's not the same.
This is eradicating.
Is there any way to get any hardwood out of this, or?
They're mainly little stuff, but they grow quick and tall, so they're on the 6 end. So
The logging project is separate from the airport project out of that.
So, not, question is not towards this, but just in general, I've asked for this in the past, I'd really like to see, understand the finances, looking down both your way. It seems like a couple times a year, we are passing something and we're doing all kinds of things. I just really like to know what the benefit is, because we keep putting, certainly I recognize we're putting a lot of grant money behind it, and that's wonderful, but we also keep putting in, money out of the city for this, and then we get to 20 years. What is the tangible benefit to the city? And I really like to understand, are we earning, creating revenue out of it? Is it revenue neutral? Or just, we don't have any sense of a black box that would like to understand. So if there's any way to have some type of formalized report that we can be able to look at, there needs to be a report here to the council, but even just a written thing, I really would like to review that, because that's one thing that comes up. What is the benefit of the city? And it's hard for me to answer when I don't know.
I'm going to jump in. Yeah, so I think that that's a very reasonable request. And I think it's probably appropriate for the council to know why we're investing in the airport as we are, and what our strategy is for the long term. What the benefit of the strategy will be, and what the return to the city will be. And So I think we can probably have something like that put together in the next couple of months for presentation. I think it's a very reasonable.
That would be helpful, just. keep
Mark, are you interested in going up to the airport?
No, show and tell, I'm all about showing the numbers. So I recognize we have an airport, I know what it looks like, but I want to see, what the revenue is, what the costs are, and then what are the future plans, that's the most interesting.
It's probably divided in half where you've got the direct benefit, direct financial benefit, but then it could be hangar fees, fuel farm fees, and also the indirect, like what's related to everything that's happening up in Cooperstown every year, and the number of jets that come in, and the indirect benefit that we get from.
Sure. And then there's also beyond that, there's also the potential. So there's a benefit right now, but there's also a strategized benefit for the long term. And there's also a strategy that has been in place for a little bit. And we'll see, with a little bit more of a concrete presentation, what that strategy is for the future in terms of the city's investment, continuing investment.
With all
There's no doubt that the value of it in my mind's eye is, it's unquestionably valuable to the.
So, there's no doubt to you, there's doubt to me.
I get that. And so I'm with
you. Talk about future plans for this and the future now, so what's the benefit? And this is where I really just need to understand that, so
Agreed.
again, I can either, support it whenever I'm speaking to constituents or not, so.
Yeah. I think it's a very appropriate presentation. We'll see if we can pull something together. I think
Well, is this something though that the airport committee or commission should be able to put together or work with city staff to put together?
I think
Rather than just
I think
city
the
staff
answer
doing it.
is yes and yes. So we'll work to see what we can pull together in these next couple of months.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right, that's the end of our discussion. We haven't actually voted on this. All right, so there isn't more discussion? No, then if you would call the roll.
Councilmember Davis.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitaker.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilkerson. Aye. Councilmember Carson.
Yes.
Councilmember Henry.
Perfect. Well, that takes us through the agenda. Do we have any additional business? Anything for council discussion? We'll be seeing each other in about a week and a half. In that case, do we have a correspondence? All right, any need for an executive session? Then objection? Sure.